This is the Shanice Lewis Show, the #1 podcast for plus-size women. With your host, the queen of curvy conversation, Shanice Lewis.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Shanice Lewis. Today is Thursday, May 10th, 2018. The Shanice Lewis Show is an official sponsor of Full Figure Fashion Week Media Day at the 10th anniversary of Full Figure Fashion Week taking place in New York City on June 18th through the 23rd. You can read more about it on the blog at ShaniceLewisShow.com. And for more information about Full Figure Fashion Week, visit FFFweek.com. And make sure you're following this show's social media pages on Facebook at The Shanice Lewis Show and on Instagram and Twitter at Shanice Show. And make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play Music, or your favorite podcasting app. Today we have a very special guest, Sonja Elise Freeman, also known as Queen Diva, is an ASCAP singer, songwriter, author, teacher, and an advocate for mental health awareness and suicide prevention. She is a member of ASCAP as a writer and publisher, New York Blues and Jazz Society, National Association for Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment, a member of the New York Recording Academy, which is the Grammy. Sonja is the producer and star of the Off-Off Broadway production, Strength of a Woman, a Phyllis Hyman Tribute, which is a celebration of the life and musical legacy of the legendary songstress Phyllis Hyman. And we're going to learn all about this production today. Let's welcome Sonja to the show. Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I just love your show, and I'm just so excited to be on it.
Well, thank you, and I'm excited to learn more about you and what you got going on. So let's start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about your background in music.
Okay. So I studied in high school. I went to Willowridge High School in Houston, Texas, and I studied in choir. And I competed in UIL, which is a University Interscholastic League. And I sang with the choir and I sang with the band. And so I loved music so much, I said I want to study in college. So I attended Prairie View A&M University. It's part of the Texas A&M University system. It's in Prairie View, Texas, 45 miles west of Houston, and I studied classical music, and I minored in fashion, merchandise, and design. So I still do both to this day, and it was really an amazing experience to go to an HBCU and to learn music, and not only music but classical music. So being a young black woman learning classical music really for the first time was like an eye-opening experience because it is so disciplined. It's such a disciplined genre that you must be focused and you must make yourself practice. And so that firm foundation that I got while I was at Prairie View has helped me sing all types of music over the last 25 years. So after I graduated from Prairie View, I went to California. I worked at a recording studio, Demo Records, which is no longer around, but I learned how to write songs and sing background music. And then once I left Demo Records, I came to New York City, and I worked for Double Fat Productions. And it was really awesome being behind the scenes because you learn a whole lot behind the scenes as an artist. And I watched other artists get molded and trained and prepared, and I actually saw the group. I don't know if you remember the group Imagine. They sang a song called Shorty, You Keep Playing My Mind with Keith Murray. That group was signed to Jive Records, and I watched that whole evolution, and it really helped me and prepared me as a vocalist and what to look for and what to expect when I do my own thing. And then after that, then I just said, okay, well, let me try and do some things. So I did background vocals, and I traveled a lot. I did a lot of choral music, and it wasn't until 2005 that I decided that I wanted to do a tribute to Phyllis Hyman. And but it didn't come into fruition until about 6 years ago. So it takes time, and I really want to make sure I share that with your listening audience. Whatever dream that you have, it's not an overnight thing. It's a process, and from the time it's a thought in your head till you write it down till you actually putting it together step by step, it takes time. And so my idea to do this show that I'm doing next week, it took me 13 years. Oh, glory. And but I'm glad that it took that long because it taught me how to be a producer and how to be the star of the show and how to go about picking your background vocalists and musicians and really picking out the songs that best fit my voice, but at the same time really shine brightly the beautiful musical legacy that Phyllis Hyman left behind. So it was a process. It was definitely a process for me.
How did the vision come about to create this tribute show for Phyllis Hyman?
Oh, wow. You know, in 2005, I remember I was listening to her music. I was cleaning. I'll never forget. I was cleaning my room. It was 4th of July, and I was cleaning my room, and I was listening to her music, and I just kept thinking, how come there isn't a really great musical tribute to her? I mean, I know people were doing different tributes, but something that really just celebrated her music that the audience could connect to and really enjoy. And then I just heard in my spirit, because I'm a very spiritual person, I just heard in my spirit, why don't you do it? And, you know, I'm sweeping and I'm looking around like, who said that? Who said that? And I had to realize, you know, I just believe the Holy Spirit said, you need to do this, and it's in your heart to do it. And I've been a Phyllis Hyman fan since college. And I said, well, I don't know how to go about doing it. So the first thing I did was research. And I researched for years about Phyllis, her music, her background. That's when I found out about her mental illness and the battle she had. And it was just really intriguing. And it's just a shame that I didn't realize really who she was and just how awesome she was when she was alive. And I never got a chance to see her live. But I do remember over the years, whenever I'd meet people that knew her, they would always say I reminded them of her. And so I always kept that in the back of my head, and I said, well, let me figure out how to put this together. And that's how it came about. I was just sweeping my room and listening to her music and just feeling so much love listening to it and thinking, this needs to be done. People need to really celebrate her music, and that's how it all started.
So producing your own shows, what are some of the obstacles you have to make everything come together?
Oh, Shanice. Glory. I say the biggest obstacle was, for me, it was two. The funding and getting people on board to see the vision. Those were the two obstacles, because she's been gone 23 years. So a lot of people, if you don't really listen to soul R&B music and not a soul R&B music fan, you won't know who she is. And so just getting people to know, well, who is Phyllis Hyman? What are you talking about? I said, you don't know who she is? What's wrong with you? But a lot of people don't know who she is, and the only song they play here in New York City is You Know How to Love Me. That's it. But she has a plethora of music that she recorded from the time she started in the late 70s up until her death in 95. So if that's the only song that they play in New York City, and people don't even know her name, they just know the song, da 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 da. You know, they just hear those music and you know how to love me. They know that, but they don't know that it's Phyllis Hyman. And then when I sing it, they're like, oh, I know my song. My mama and them play that when they play cards. So that was the problem when just trying to convince them of the vision and then the funding, because it was new to me and I didn't know how to go about doing it. And so I had to figure it out and had to ask questions. And that was the thing. Ask questions. I asked questions. Well, how do you fund the show? How do you go about doing it? How do you get sponsors? And slowly, step by step, I figured it out. And a lot of it's my own money. And then I asked for contributors, and then I started to just ask for sponsors. But it was a process. It was a complete process to get there. Yeah.
So do some people that have these type of shows, they're produced by other people with money so they don't have to worry about the funding?
Oh, yes, and that's such a dream. Oh, my goodness, that's such a dream. But it's, yes, absolutely. There's production companies, and that's their sole job is to cast people for shows. They cast the director, they cast the choreographer, they cast the actors, they cast the singers, the musicians, and that's their sole job is to put the whole show together. I'm everything. I'm the star, I'm the musical director, I'm everything. But yes, there are companies who actually do that. The shows that tour, those are production companies that put that together. So yes, it's a dream. And I'm putting it out in the universe that that'll happen for me soon. But it's a dream, yes, when you have that, definitely.
So what is the difference between Broadway, Off-Broadway, and Off-Off Broadway?
Okay, so Broadway is 42nd Street. Off Broadway is either from 42nd on 7th Avenue over to 10th Avenue or maybe even 11th Avenue. And then off Broadway is when you're going either down toward 23rd Street or up toward 95th Street. And there's always, and there's also off Broadway, which is all the way down to Greenwich Village. So that's how it's.
It's just the location. I thought it had to do maybe with the seating size or the budget or something, but it's just location.
Excuse me. No, it's the location of where your venue is nearest to Broadway. So that's why they say Broadway, off Broadway, off Broadway. So I've been in all the one except Broadway. I haven't been on Broadway yet. I've been off, and so I'm working my way toward being on actual Broadway.
Got it. So some things off Broadway and off Broadway can still be super expensive tickets?
No, actually, it's the further you get from Broadway, the less expensive it is.
Okay.
Yes, the Broadway tickets are the ones that's off the roof, but the ones that's off or off, that's usually you can get tickets as low as $24, which was my show. My show was $24.
Got it. Now tell us a little about the life of Phyllis Hyman for those listening who may not be familiar with her.
Oh, wow. Well, Phyllis Hyman was born July 6th, and she was born actually in Philly, but she was raised in Pittsburgh. But Philly claims her, and she went to school in both cities. And once she left school, she went to Miami, started her group, the PH Factor, sang all over the clubs and everything there, and then just had a yearning to go to New York. She just felt like going to New York would be her big break, and that was definitely the case. She brought her group, Phyllis Hyman and PH Factor, to New York City and was singing in nightclubs, and was she was the rave of the town back then. And Norman Connors heard of her, and he went to go see her perform and wanted to hear her and see, what was all the talk about. And he just instantly fell in love with her voice and just who she was, and invited her to be on his album Starship. And she recorded the song Betcha by Golly Wow. And then the rest was history. She got signed to Arista and started recording albums and got to Broadway, and then just on and on and on. But her start, her humble beginnings was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
But you also mentioned that she was dealing with mental health issues as well.
Oh, yeah. It turns out when I researched her family, it's a family history of mental illness. And she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I believe it was bipolar disorder 2. And this was years ago, before they even got a hold of how to really treat it today. And the medicines that she would take in, she just didn't feel right to her. She didn't really care for the way it made her feel, and so she wouldn't take it. And there wasn't any support groups. There wasn't really all the information that we have today back then. And so it was really hard for her, and she would self-medicate with drugs and alcohol and sex and, hanging out, all those different things she would try to medicate herself with instead of taking the medication that she really didn't want to take for her illness. And that's not the thing to do, because you have all those thoughts and things going on in your mind. You're thinking you can manage it, but you can't. You really need to take the medicine and go to the doctor, and but that wasn't really the protocol back then. So it was very, very difficult for her in dealing with her mental illness.
And then ultimately she ended her own life with suicide.
Yeah, she had attempted it once before and went to get treatment. She went to a rehab, but came right back out and went back to the old ways, and then she attempted again, and she succeeded on June 30th, 1995. So, yeah, that was really, really tragic.
So has any of Phyllis's family had the opportunity to attend the show?
Yes. When I did my show, I last did my show in September 22nd, I had invited Vanessa Farley, who's a second cousin. She is the daughter of Phyllis Hyman's favorite cousin. She attended, and I actually gave her a framed, framed document. It was a support letter from the mayor of New York, Mayor de Blasio, and his wife, First Lady Charlene McCary. They are over a program called Thrive NYC, and it is a program that helps families and people who are dealing with mental illness to educate themselves and to find out how to deal with mental illness, because their daughter battles mental illness. So I got a letter of support from them, and I presented it to Vanessa Farley at the last show. It was a really beautiful moment at the last show. So, yes, she did attend, and I think another distant cousin from Philly attended. And actually, there's some more that's coming this time around. It turns out she has cousins here in New York and in the immediate area of Philly, and I believe in Montclair, New Jersey as well.
Nice. So the next show is coming up soon, next week.
Yes.
And it's already a sold-out audience. Now tell us about it.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. This, as I told you, this journey started in 2005, and when I actually officially started taking steps toward producing it, the first time I did it was in 2013, and although it was 40 tickets sold, only 11 people showed up. The second time I tried to do it, only about 11 people bought tickets, and they had to cancel my show, and I was devastated. The third time I did it.
Do you lose the money when it's canceled?
Yeah, because you don't have a show. So it wasn't any money that I put in, but I don't get to have a show. And I have been promoting. Excuse me. I have been promoting. I've been practicing with the pianist and everything. And I really thought tickets were going to be sold, and I only sold 11. And only 11 tickets up until I think it was 2 weeks before the show, and so the venue canceled the show, and I was devastated. And I wasn't going to do it again. I wasn't going to do it again. And it wasn't until, just my friends, my really dearest friends said, Diva, you need to do it again. You need to do it again and really work on a strategy to reach Phyllis Hyman's fans. And I said, okay. So this time around, I created a campaign where it would be able to reach Phyllis Hyman's fans, and that's when it sold out. And it sold out all 120 seats in 8 weeks before the show. And I was
so you selling out is a big deal then.
That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal, especially from doing it times before and not, just trying to get friends and family to buy a ticket was torture. And people just didn't get it. If you don't get the vision and you don't love her music and you don't see, you're not going to buy a ticket. But when I connected with her fans, and I can't wait to meet all 120 of them next Friday, that's when the tickets sold. And that's when it really dawned on me. You have to know who your audience is. You got to know who wants to receive what you're giving. And when I realized that I have to go to Phyllis's fans to do what I'm doing, then that's when the tickets sold. So I'm really excited about that, and it was a huge lesson that I learned in putting this show together,
Right.
And it really works for anybody. If you know what your brand is and who you're trying to share it with, know who your audience is, and they will support you. They
right.
will support you.
You just got to find your audience.
Yes. Whatever it is that you offering, find your audience. And once you do, the success will come.
Now, how often do you produce these shows? Is another one going to be in the works now that you've found the audience and selling out?
Well, that's the thing. The main reason for doing this show is because I'm going to record it live, both audio and video, so I can have something tangible to show to production companies and venues and producers, so that we can take it on the road. I'd love to go to because there's many people all over the country. It was like, are you coming to Philly? Are you coming to Texas? Are you coming to Chicago? I was like, I would love to come. But I have to have something to show for, promoters to want to book me. And so once this is done, and then I can send out the clip along with the press kit, and then I can get bookings. And that's the idea, is to go on a tour. I'd love to go on a tour, and I'd love to go to a bigger venue as well, and record a full album. I'd like to actually go and do a studio album. This performance really is more so to share with producers and promoters, but I'd like to actually go in the studio after this is all done and record a full 12-song tribute album, just like similar to what Natalie Cole did for her dad, Nat King Cole, or Ella, people did for Ella Fitzgerald and on and on. That's what I'd like to do for Phyllis Hyman. So I'm putting out an atmosphere now that will come to pass after this show.
So in addition to purchasing tickets, because if somebody's listening now, it's already sold out, so how else can we support your production?
Well, what's really awesome is that we're going to live stream the show, and I think it's unheard of any of the Phyllis Hyman tributes that's going on across the country. They usually just, adhere to the people that's in the audience, that's in the actual venue. But I want to reach as many Phyllis Hyman fans as possible, and we're going to do it live, a live stream. So if they can connect with me, they can go to my website, queendivamusic.com, or the email contact@queendivamusic.com. And we're still looking for supporters. We'd love for people to support financially with the show, and we're going to provide the link for anybody, wherever you are, the comfort of your home, to watch the show, because I don't want anyone to miss this. And, of course, connect with me with social media, Strength of a Woman, Phyllis Hyman Tribute, Queen Diva, __ is my handle on Twitter. And but if you just look up Queen Diva, now you got to look up Queen Diva in accordance to this show, because there's another Queen Diva, and that's not me.
Yeah, it's Big Frida come up.
Exactly. And so people are like, but that's not you. That's a drag queen. No, that's not me. Make sure you put Connection Phyllis Hyman, and then you'll find me.
So you were also selling ads for your stage bill. Is it too late to place an ad in your book?
Yes, because we already, the thing is, I already put the ads in, and we already edited for print. But what I am doing is going back and putting in information for those who would like to still be a contributor, and I will put their name down digitally. So it'll be on because we're going to send the night of the show. We're going to send the digital link to view the actual stage bill. That's going to be printed for those who are in attendance at the venue, and then we're also going to send the digital link for you to view the live stream. So if anyone is still interested in being a contributor, not so much ads are already set, but we can add more names and do another printing 2 weeks after the show. They can, like I said, they can contact me via contact@queendivamusic.com, and then I can give them information on how they can be a contributor.
Now, do you seek sponsorship for your production in any way?
Yeah, so most of the sponsorship that I was able to get was mostly service and product. I just was not able to get funding what I needed at the time frame that I'm in, that I had right now. Mm-hmm. But for the next performance that we will need sponsors for us to tour, and we will need sponsors for a bigger venue, because we'd like to take this to a bigger venue the next time.
Got it. Mm-hmm. So do you produce any other shows besides Strength of a Woman?
I do actually. It actually was a female singer-songwriter collective that I started back in 1999 called Soul Divas Night Out. And next year will be our 20th reunion. And I want to bring that back next year. And all the divas that I had met in that collective, they're all doing really great work in music all over the country and all over the world, actually. And so I want to bring that back next year. And then I also have a Gospel Divas Night Out of myself and two other women who sing gospel. One does like an R&B gospel, and then I do all, and then the other one does a very traditional gospel. And there's some other things too that I want to put out as well after that, but those are the two main things, is the Gospel Divas Night Out and Soul Divas Night Out for next year.
So I mentioned earlier you're an advocate for mental health awareness and suicide prevention. Now, why are these issues so important to you?
Well, it's interesting. When I was researching the history of Phyllis Hyman and I found that she had mental illness, I had inquired from my family if there was people in my family who had mental illness, and it turns out there were several, and actually two of them had actually led to suicide. So from me starting researching for the show, it turned to a very personal thing for me when I realized, oh my goodness, how close does mental illness really touch people's lives, and we don't even realize it. And I didn't realize that Uncle John, he had came back from Vietnam War and wasn't able to adjust to the life here in America after that, and he committed suicide. And then as recent as a couple of years ago, my cousin, he committed suicide. He was dealing with teen depression. And I knew he was taking medication, but I didn't realize that he wasn't taking it. It turns out he wasn't taking the medication. And when you don't take the medication, and that's the same thing that happened with Phyllis, you have so many thoughts in your mind, you'll find a way to listen to whatever's in your mind and commit suicide. And so when that touched me so deeply, to realize that people deal with mental issues across the board, but there's some that can be so extreme to where it could lead you to death. If you don't talk to somebody and get support and get help and really just kind of just share what's going on, you don't know how to help a family member. And
right.
And that's what happened for me. And I was like, oh my goodness, I got to find out more about this. And especially in the African American community, we don't talk about this, Shanice. We don't.
Right.
We don't talk about the uncle that's touched, or the aunt that, we don't stay too close to. We don't talk about it. And we need to talk about it. We need to tell young people, listen, your uncle such and such has a mental illness. He doesn't know how to quite do things on his own. That's why he has help. I was never explained to me what was going on with my uncles. And so if we teach our children young and teach them when they're teens, as young adults, when they have issues and going to college and living life, they'll know how to, deal with mental situations. And that's why it touched home for me. It touched home for me. And I just can't let it go now because it's so close to the family members. And then I found out I have friends who're dealing with it too because people don't talk about it. And when you bring up the subject, then it comes out and you realize, oh, my goodness. Yes, I went to therapy. Yes, I did this. I said, wow. So it was the greatest thing really that happened to me when I was sweeping that one day in 2005 to realize doing this show was more than just the musical legacy of Phyllis, but really educating people the importance about mental illness and suicide prevention. It's still needed. It's still needed today, and people need to know about it and share that information. So I'm going to have information that night of the show, and I'm going to pass it out to people. And I partner with the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and I got information from them. And shout out to Clara for the chapter here in New York. She sent me some information, and I want to make sure I always do that so people can walk away being entertained but also being educated.
Now, are you available to be booked to sing at different events?
Definitely. I've sung, let me tell you, leading all my way up to this sold-out performance, I've sung at birthday parties. I've sang at pageants. I've sang at fundraisers, wherever the need to have me to perform and to share. And usually I do a song either that's uplifting breast cancer awareness, because one of the writers for Phyllis Hyman, Linda Creed, she wrote Betcha by Golly Wow and Old Friend. And I usually sing that song at breast cancer awareness functions. And people are familiar with the song, but they don't know that the writer suffered from breast cancer, and so she passed away before Phyllis finished recording those songs. So when I researched and I found that out, that every occasion that Phyllis Hyman's songs, they work. They work really anywhere. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I'm definitely available to sing at any moment.
So do you have anything else coming up that we need to know about or be on the lookout for?
Well, actually, I after this show and we complete this recording, I'm going to be promoting my gospel single. I also sing gospel, and the name of the song is This Day, and it was written by the late, great Edwin Hawkins. And the single is a cappella. I'm marketing it as an a cappella prayer, and really it's for those who have their prayer time and they want to have a song before they go into prayer, and it's a song of provision. And we're all always praying to God, oh, Lord, I need this, or Lord, I have that, or I need this with money for this. Well, they can listen to this prayer this day, and it's a prayer of asking for love and peace and joy and the love of God in their life. And so it's on iTunes. If you look it up, the name I have it under is Pastor Sonja Elise. I am an ordained and licensed minister as well. And they can go to Reverb Nation to hear it, Reverb Nation, and look under Pastor Sonja Elise, or they can go to iTunes and look up my name, Pastor Sonja Elise, and my single is all ready to roll, and you can download it and play it and bless your heart over and over again.
Awesome. Now, before you leave, tell us your official website and your social media handles so we can keep up with everything you have going on.
Okay, so let me say it again. It is queendivamusic.com. That's my main website for me as an R&B soul artist. I also sell, items that pertains to my book. I have a book called Diva's Diamonds, and it's a book full of quotes to encourage and inspire, and that's on there. If you go to the store part, so if you go to queendivamusic.com and go to store, you can look at all my products. On social media, on Twitter, I'm under Diva's Diamonds. I'm also under Queen Diva __, and then you can also find Soul Divas Night Out Presents. And you can also look under Integrity Beauty. I'm ambassador for Integrity Beauty Women of Excellence, and I'm on there too, as well as Instagram. So if you look up Diva's Diamonds, Integrity Beauty, Queen Diva, you'll find me, and I'm all over the internet.
Well, you have a lot going on. Thank you for taking out the time to talk with me today. I know your show is going to be an absolutely major success.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, and this is a pleasure and an honor, and I thank you for inviting me on.
My pleasure. So enjoy the rest of your evening. I think you're about to go to rehearsal now, right?
Yes, I am. I had to go head on out and deeper into Brooklyn. I'm in Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn. I got to go deeper into Brooklyn and meet with my pianist and my two soul divas tonight.
Well, all right. Well, good luck with everything and keep in touch.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
And you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thank you to our fabulous guest this evening for being on the show, Sonja Elise Freeman. Make sure you check her out with her tribute show, sold out, but make sure you hit her up so you can watch the live stream. I've been your host this evening, Shanice Lewis. Thank you for tuning in and supporting. Until next time, keep thriving in your curves and be blessed.
You've been listening to The Shanice Lewis Show. For more info about the show, visit ShaniceLewisShow.com.